Another death and rebirth kind of idea that seems like something relevant to break down in the moment is a new show called Metallic Rouge. Metallic Rouge is made by Studio Bones. Studio Bones does great work. They did Space Dandy, Mob Psycho 100, My Hero Academia. And what's interesting about Metallic Rouge is it's kind of being treated as their 25th anniversary production. And rather than just doing a remake of one of their old shows or, you know, a sequel to an old show, they've created this new entity that kind of synthesizes 25 years worth of storytelling into a whole new product. So on its surface level, Metallic Rouge is a sci-fi and mecha show, but it kind of rebirths that area and does something really different with it. The show is set in the future on Mars. It follows Rouge, an android, and her partner Naomi, who have kind of been tasked to hunt down other artificial humans called the Immortal Nine, who are a threat to the government. So you have a bit of a Blade Runner aesthetic to it, where androids exist, people don't exactly know if they should trust them, if they're good for society, if they're bad. But at the same time, Metallic Rouge, in addition to just being like sci-fi and mecha, you have a mystery component going on. There's crime. There's a buddy cop dynamic between Rouge and Naomi. It's very rare to see two female characters as the leads in a mecha show, so that's like an exciting development going on here too. The mecha combat itself is so different and unusual. Each Immortal Nine has a very different design and fighting style, so that kind of translates to really different combat that's just fun to watch. But the thing that really struck me the most with Metallic Rouge is just its approach to world building. Like, it's set in the future and you have a lot of stuff that is futuristic, but there's also stuff that's clearly still stuck in the past. And like the cars in this show aren't like flying cars, they're very retro cars. And it's always interesting to me when a show from the future can kind of remix the past and the future to give us a new representation of what society might look like. It does this really well with music. Like, the music that is used in this show truly feels like it's music from the future. And what I mean by that is, like, it's not just music that sounds futuristic, but it has almost gotten to the psychology behind music. Like, it uses instruments that we don't use a ton of now, but seem like we might be in like 2 or 3 decades. There's motifs in the music that, again, might seem kind of irregular now, but feel like the evolution of where our current music is heading. And to me, that's just so cool, that it truly sounds like music from the future, and it uses visuals and like an oral soundscape to reflect world building in a way that's just really different, exciting, and that's not the point of the show, but like it really just fleshes its world out in a way that's different, fun, and shows you how irregular a sci-fi and mecha show can be, that they're not forced to just give you the same thing again and again. And to kind of further celebrate Metallic Rouge is we have a very exciting interview here with the main cast of the show. We have Mike McFarland, the voice director, Monica Flatley, who voices Rouge, and Cassie Ewulu, who voices Naomi. So they are excited to talk to us about just why Metallic Rouge is different, what it's doing that's special, and why this should be one of the bigger shows of 2024. So, fellow otaku, let's go to the interview. First of all, guys, like, Metallic Rouge I've really loved. It's been one of my favorite anime of the season so far. And just Studio Bones in general, I think, does such amazing work. All their shows are so beautifully animated. Was it exciting to be a part of the show that kind of is its 25th anniversary celebration and to like just be a part of that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like for me, like I've been a fan of Full Metal Alchemist since like the 2003 days. And when I first saw the trailer for Metallic Rouge and saw that it was like to celebrate Bones' 25th anniversary, I was just like, okay, this may go under the radar, but I hope it doesn't, and that like Crunchy picks it up, because I would love to like, at least like audition for this. So, I'm glad I got to be part of this. It's exactly what I wanted for the season.
No, literally same. And then their last anniversary piece, I think, was Carol and Tuesday, which I've like been obsessed with. And I was honestly really sad that it didn't get as like a lot of hype. So I'm really excited that this one seems to be like a little bit more noticed, at least for now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm stoked. I'm stoked I got to work on it. I worked on a few Bones things in the past. and it's cool to be part of the anniversary. And I also just love this particular genre, so it's a double whammy of cool.
I love that. Is it like, I love that this is kind of an anime original. There's no source material or manga to go off of. Does that make it harder at all to prepare for a show when you don't have something else to refer to?
It can. Luckily, I have access to some things, but that is not accessed by the public. But it's definitely not something that I'm like, oh, I can just read the complete story on the manga or whatever else beforehand. Yeah, it makes it to where I have more info off of a page rather than info off of a page. Info without illustrations, info without anything else to go along with it, where I'm piecing things together in my head.
Does that, like, kind of going off of that too, is it helpful or stressful when, like, I know you know a few things that are coming up, but to kind of be feeling your way through it as the show goes along, like what kind of energy does that give you?
I feel like in instances like this, as long as I'm true to the material of what I see on screen and true to what's being said, and try to stick with that, not make any assumptions, not try to, like, well, it's vague, so let's try to pick something and make the answer for that. No, let's leave it vague. If I try to keep the mystery that and answer things along with the same way that it's being presented to me and just go along with that, even if I'm not as 100% certain as I would be if there were 100 chapters of manga, I still feel like as we go, it's all going to work out great. Plus, once again, I do have access to some things. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so excited to hear that this show is getting like a simuldub release, that it was like, worthy of that. And does that just put any greater pressure or challenge on the production, knowing that it's coming out faster than sometimes a dub can be produced?
Not necessarily. I don't think that it does. I think there's a mindset of like a simuldub somehow records in less time, or we rush through it or anything like that. It's really not. It's like, if the amount of lines you have and the story that you have would take like 18 hours to record, if we map everything out and this many lines, this many reactions, and this is how many reactors we need, we don't go faster than the 18. It's just that the 18 is all at once and on the calendar. So we don't move faster or anything like that. I think the interesting thing with this particular thing was we had some access to it to start recording sometime in December-ish, but then we got started, and then there was a break, and then we picked it back up. So it's not like if it goes up every Wednesday, like Tuesday night, we hit the finish line. It's nothing that's that level of tight. No.
Something else that really stands out to me about the show is just like it does such a fun, creative job with its world building. Like its futuristic presentation of Mars is really cool. Can you just talk a little about the universe and like what makes this show so special as opposed to other shows set in the future?
I'll let the cast go first. I've been answering everything.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know what? This like a lot of people have said like, oh, this like reminds you of like, like a Blade Runner style type thing. But like when I like comparing it to like the old school shows like Outlaw Star and like Cowboy Bebop, just like I guess you would say like slice of life on space, just like, you've got like a team here and they're just doing like all this like weird stuff. It kind of brought me back to like those times, like back in the like early 2000s, late 90s. I don't know where this is gonna go, but I'm excited to like be part of this journey with the character and like, Monica's character Rouge and like everyone else, just to see like what happens.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Like it's really cool seeing how it seems to pay homage to like older shows. But also it does bring like this new fresh vibe as well, which I really like. And the characters are a ton of fun, like Cassie said. Also, it's a really interesting plot because yeah, it does have like the Blade Runner vibes, but I feel like it's taking some different directions. Obviously, it's anime, but it's really cool and it's really exciting and it's so incredible to be a part of it.
No, yeah, one of the first things that I really identified with is that it does kind of harken back to older series. You have like this really fun kind of buddy cop dynamic between both of your characters, and it's just like a nice change of pace to have two female leads in a show like this. Like, I feel like that doesn't necessarily happen very often. Can you just, everyone, kind of like talk a little on the casting process, like bringing these characters to life and just finding like the right chemistry between Rouge and Naomi?
Oh man, I think with Monica, like we only had the trailer to go off of.
We really
But I
did.
remember like just watching it like one day, like when the trailer first came out, and I was just like, oh, Naomi's got like she's sassy and she's like a brainiac, and I like love those character types. And I was just like, well, I hope like if Crunchyroll picks this up, like I'll audition for her, and I hope I get to be part of it. And auditions came out, I auditioned and sent it out, and I got the email that I got cast, and I was just like, yep, that's all I need. Like, I know exactly what this character is about. Like, and, so far I feel like I've been kind of like right on the nose with like how she is. Just all business, all like smart, sassy, and just like doesn't really care about anything else outside of that.
You can call me Naomi Orthmann. It's nice to finally see the person's face I've been supporting lately.
I appreciate your support. As for what you can call me...
I know.
Thanks, I think.
No, you've been doing like incredibly. So yeah, we got auditions for it. And I remember I actually hadn't seen anything about the show until we got the auditions. So like there was a trailer linked in it. So I went and I watched it and I was like, is there anything else? This is not much to go off of. And then I think I found like one or two other ones and I was like, okay, so Rouge is basically like kind of a teenager, but kind of a child. Let's just she seemed like, she's kind of spacey-ish, but she's still, I don't know. So like I read the script that they put in the audition and I was like, let's just be how we were when we were in middle school. And so that really helped out. And then being able to feed off of Cassie as Naomi has always been like really, really, really great. She just makes it so easy.
Same. You sound so adorable as Rouge.
You two sound great. It's so fun working with you on this.
Thank you.
This is
a
one
blast
of my
working
favorite
with you.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
That's so funny to hear that. Like, I feel like you guys had the same reaction that a lot of the fans did, that just like, I remember watching the trailer too and being like, is there more of this? I need more. Like, what else is happening? So that's, I don't know. It's so cool to be able to build something off of just that tiny piece of what is going on here.
It's just kind of nice when you're just working off of something that like has no background or anything. It's just like, oh, you're free to like kind of do whatever you want within like, the limits of like what the animation's showing you. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it's just been a joy working on this.
Yes, I was so nervous about that, honestly, because I even told Mike, I was like, I usually like to cheat before I have a session, like by watching the episode or reading the manga. And so that was something that I was scared about, but it ended up, it's great. I'm enjoying the process a lot.
I love that. Kind of just building on like the mystery of the show. I love that there's this whole like Immortal 9 aspect that's coursing through the series, and it's really cool to see more of that as the show goes along. Does that make it a challenge at all in terms of directing or delivering lines, since some characters like might be lying or there's subtext to what's going on that we don't fully know about yet, or you might not even fully be aware of?
I point out from time to time when I'm like, this is the info that's being received, or this is what's being said. It may not be 100% truthful, but you have to present it as truthful when you're presenting it. Otherwise, why say a completely obvious lie?
Right.
So yeah, I keep those things in mind, but the cast is really intuitive and they hear what the seiyuu is doing. They see what's on screen and I just guide them along a little bit. They're doing great.
Yeah, Mike has all the answers, honestly.
Yes.
I'll just do what Mike says.
The music too in this show is really like out of this world and something I've really loved. It like has elements of the past, but it really feels like music that you'd be getting from the future. Like it does a really good job, I think, of jumping decades ahead or kind of dealing with just what sound might sound like in the future. And I don't know, is that something that you latched onto? Is it something that you noticed? I just love it so much.
I think the soundtrack's fun. I think, the score portion of it and the sound effects are really cool. I think they have a cool as the show itself does, kind of a retro slash future sort of vibe to it. It's a combination of several things. I also like the opener, the closer. I love it that we know that the moment has arrived for fighting when it's time to fight. It's so fun.
He starts singing it during sessions.
Yeah, he does. It's great. But it's a great song. It just plays
it's so good.
Just like, oh, okay, like fight's about to happen.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's just
Things
like
are about to get intense.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Not only is a music cue, it straight up tells you like this is it. We're gonna
Buckle up.
You would mention before kind of how many different genres this show toes the line with, and like it's definitely mecha and sci-fi, but you have like a lot of crime, mystery, and other stuff going on too. Does that play a factor at all when you're directing or delivering lines?
As the voice director, I do keep each character in mind and who they kind of are in the chessboard of the story, which each character's responsibility and job is. And there are multiple genre mixes, noir, sci-fi. There's a heavy, as if people have mentioned Blade Runner. Yeah, there's a heavy Philip K. Dick influence on some of the choices of the content, the Asimov code, things like that. It's interesting to be able to have such a neat range of specific character types that all fit within one universe. And I do try to keep that in mind. But once again, everyone's rocking it, so I don't have to hey, you're doing the entire thing wrong. It's never that. So
yeah, it's just I don't really think about those types of things because this is like a new show and everyone's just kind of like being their own thing. But you only get to see like I only get to see what Naomi does, and maybe she'll be like interacting with a few other characters, but it's interesting to see how everything comes together once the episode comes out and you're just like, oh wow, that all really worked very well together. I thought maybe at first I had gone a little overboard with Naomi, but that's just kind of what felt natural to me and what I felt that's just her, but once the first episode came out I was just like, oh wow, that worked out very well.
And kind of just lastly, guys, Rouge has a real sweet tooth for chocolate, which I think is such a fun part of the show. What are all of your favorite chocolate bars, candies? What are your vices there?
My favorite chocolate bar, as far as over the counter, it went through a period of many years of being extremely difficult to find, and now every so often I find the king size of it. It's a Reese's Nutrageous. Which it's kind of like a Snickers, but you replace the caramel with the Reese's peanut butter. It's pretty good. And as far as other chocolate, I just got back from Europe and I had a taste of, I think it was either in Prague or Germany, some little cocoa things that are about the size of a mini Reese's peanut butter cup, but you put them on your tongue and rather than chew them, you're supposed to let them dissolve. That stuff is great. It begins with a G and I can't remember what it is. And even if I did remember, I probably would pronounce it incorrectly, but it's so good.
That sounds really good.
It's amazing.
For me, I super I guess more than just chocolate. So whatchamacallits, Heath bars, it's gotta have toffee or some sort of almond or walnut or something. Just because I like that extra bit of crunch. But I do also love chocolate. So probably a whatchamacallit or a Heath bar.
For me, it's this German chocolate. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Lederock or something like that. I don't know, but they're usually they make these chocolate barks. So they're pretty much just slabs of chocolate, and they could put anything nuts, raisins, or whatever in there. But this particular one is very, very good. I ate something from their brand over the summer last year. It was just very good. It was just like this, it's not chocolate, but it was a strawberry milk chocolate, white chocolate with like these nice dried strawberries in there. And it was just like really nice. And they also had like this milk chocolate with like cereal bits inside of it. And it was like so good. I'm gonna bring some over actually. I'm gonna buy
Yes,
That sounds
please
great.
do.
Sounds really good.
Yeah,
Please.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. I'm big on Reese's too, so I get all that. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. That's all I've got. But I've loved what I've seen of the show. I can't wait to see where it's going, and you're just all doing great jobs with it.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Cool.
much for having us, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank
Wasn't that so cool, guys? I mean, I told you Metallic Rouge is an exciting show, but hopefully after hearing them talk about it, you can kind of see why it's positioned to be one of 2024's biggest hits. And just once again, thank you to Mike McFarland, Monica Flatley, and Cassie Ewulu.